All right. All right. Welcome. So we're gonna for this practice this morning, we are gonna move a little bit, and I will be giving a couple different options. So please um, take what you. Oh my gosh, hold on a second. Let's make sure this microphone's set up properly. Here I am in the middle of recording a yoga class. Sorry, everyone. Audio, mic. Okay, we are good. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. Just making sure technology is going to work for us today. So let's start on a tall seat today. And if you really need some grounding, perhaps you could come into child's pose, but let's try to find a little bit of uplifting energy this morning. So you could find something to sit up on if you have a cushion or a blanket or a block. And then let's give ourselves a couple full breaths in, a couple deep breaths out. And you're welcome to soften your gaze or close your eyes. And each time you breathe in, perhaps lengthening up through the top of your head or finding a little length through your spine. And then as you keep that length, you could soften into your sit bones and roll your shoulders back and down a few times. And then with this little extra space that you have, allow your breath to move into that space. It might be into your chest, into your shoulder blades, into your rib cage. There's a particular energy or intention that you want to draw towards you today. So take a moment to connect with that. Take a moment to bring that into your awareness. If you'd like to place your hands over your heart or bring your palms to heart center, we'll take a moment to take a couple deep breaths into our heart space, filling up our heart with gratitude for being here at this time, moving our bodies, allowing some gratitude to come in that our bodies will allow us to move in a way that supports us today. And then when you're ready, releasing your hands and beginning to open up your eyes if they're closed. And let's start right away in tabletop this morning. So coming around to tabletop, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and we'll begin to move here. So allowing some movement to come into your spine, arching and rounding through your spine, a little lift through your inhale, and around through your exhale. You could also add in some more fluid movement here. So maybe a little bit of a side bend to one side, to the other side, maybe some big circles. Just allowing some openness to come. And allowing your breath to move into that space as you're moving. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And then as you're ready, we'll come back to the center. When you're back in the center, starting to extend your right toes back, and they can stay tucked on the floor, or you can lift your right foot up. And you can keep both hands planted here, or perhaps reach your left arm forward and find the balance, and then a little bit of a connection as your core draws towards you. And then as you're ready, both hands, both knees come back down, and let's take a breath here. Maybe a clearing breath or two. And then when you're ready, extending your left toes back, lifting your left leg, and perhaps extending your right arm forward or keeping both hands planted. So just checking in with where you're at and what supports you the most here. And then as you're ready, coming back to the center, taking a breath here and pausing or moving through cat and cow. So let's take a moment to pause in child's pose, finding this may be a little bit more active, so you can extend your arms, lift your elbows, or place your hands on blocks. If you need some support, place your hands underneath your forehead instead. A couple big breaths into the back of your body, and knowing that child's pose is an opportunity to pause at any time you need it, anytime you'd like to come here. And then when you're ready, we'll rise, come back up, and make our way into downward dog. So if you're skipping down dog today, perhaps child's pose or tabletop is where you could be. And then downward dog, making a little bit of movement here. So pedaling out your heels or lifting your heels, lowering them back down, or any other movement that serves you to create a bit of space here. And then from downward dog, let's ripple forward to plank pose. With your knees up or your knees down, you're going to lower all the way to the floor here to begin. So I'm just going to move a little bit of stuff out of the way here. Starting with your hands underneath your shoulders, rolling your shoulders back and down, pressing firm through your feet. Let's lift our hearts and keeping your gaze softly down, finding an extension through your spine. And you could extend your arms back as well if you like, reaching back through your fingertips. And then let's place our hands, let's come back to either child's pose or downward facing dog. Deep breath into your nose, out through your mouth. Let's do that one more time. Coming forward to plank pose as you inhale, your knees up or knees down, lowering down on your exhale. And let's take a low cobra here, inhaling, taking a breath or two. And then as you're ready, coming back to downward facing dog. And then stepping or walking your hands forward. Let's take a forward fold at the front of our mats, letting your head release, maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Taking a full breath in and then a full breath out. With your hands on your shins or blocks, let's find a halfway lift. Inhale, exhale, folding. And let's do that again. Inhale, lifting up halfway, and then exhale, fold. And then let's rise to stand. You can reach your arms up at the top if you like. Hands come down through heart center, exhale. So take a moment in mountain pose here. So finding both feet rooting, shoulders rolling back and down. Take a moment to feel the connection of both feet connected to the ground. And from there, let's reach up and stretch up. And then exhale, let's forward fold. Take an inhale here, lifting up halfway. Let's take a step back with our left foot and placing our left knee down. You can place a cushion block or some support underneath your back knee. And let's come to a low lunge. So we're going to settle in, front knees over your ankle. Hands can be on your hips, or you can reach your arms up overhead, your choice. Couple more breaths here. And then as you're ready, we'll shift our hands down if they're overhead. Lift your back knee and let's step back to downward facing dog and take a full breath in. And exhale. And then let's lift our left leg up and step our left foot forward. You can give it a little bit of help here, and back knee comes down. When you're ready, let's rise. Let's come up to a low lunge here. Other side, and wherever your hands feel comfortable. Arms overhead, hands on your hips. Couple big breaths. And when your next exhale comes, let's bring our hands down. Let's step forward here. So stepping to the front of our mat and folding in. Find a halfway lift, inhale. Let's pause here for a moment. Shoulders back, feet rooting, top of your head reaching towards the space in front of you. So lengthening forward. And then exhale, let's fold. And then let's rise to stand. Reach your arms up and hands to heart center. Full breath in, full exhale, and then let's reach our arms up again here. As you exhale, forward fold. Take an inhale to lift up halfway, and this time we're going to step our right foot back. Right knee comes down, and let's reach our arms up for one breath in, settle on your exhale. So option here to interlace your hands behind you. Take your hands at the base of your skull, elbows wide, support your head in your hands, and find a little bit of a back bend perhaps. Really pressing through your feet to find some length. And then exhale. Let's place our right hand down and let's revolve open towards the left, towards your front leg. Your hand can reach up or be on your hip. And if you'd like to take this into a high lunge, lifting your back knee away from the ground. Take one more full breath here. Inhale, and then exhale. Let's bring our hands down and let's step back to downward facing dog here. Full breath in, full breath out. If you'd like child's pose, you can come into child's pose or move through a vinyasa. We can come forward to plank pose and lower down. Maybe a cobra and back to down dog. Let's take a breath in. Let's lift our right leg up and step our right foot forward this time. Bringing our back knee back down, we're going to rise up again. Take a breath in and then exhale to settle. If you'd like to interlace your hands again, you could hold the base of your skull or support it with your hands. Shoulders back. let's release. Left hand comes down, revolving open towards your right leg, hand on your hip or reaching up. And again, you could also take it into a high lunge here. And as you're ready, hands come down and we're stepping forward to the front of our mat and folding in. Let's lift up halfway here, inhale. And exhale, fold. And then let's rise up to stand. And hands to heart center. And this time, hands by your side. Taking just a moment in mountain pose to again connect to your breath, both feet connected to the floor, maybe coming to your intention. All right, let's take a breath in here, reaching our arms up, hands to heart center, and as they come to heart center, let's sit back and down into chair pose. You could also take your hands to support your upper legs here, and tailbone draws down, shoulders roll back, sitting into our chair, maybe hands at heart center, maybe arms reaching forward or up. Let's take another moment to sit a little lower. Take one breath in here. Exhale, let's forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, let's step our left foot back. So this time we're going to rise up for a low lunge, or a high lunge, sorry. So you could come into a low lunge if you like. Back knees lifted, hips are facing forward. Option here, you could reach your arms up overhead, or if you'd like a bit of a shoulder opener, heart opener, interlace your hands behind you and maybe straighten out your arms. Couple big breaths into your heart space. Now, as we exhale, let's bring our hands down, step back to three-legged dog. You can lift your right leg up behind you, maybe open your hip to the side, bend your knee. And then let's come back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in and exhale. Take an inhale, lift our left leg up and step our left foot forward. Give it a little help if you need. And then let's rise. So high or low lunge, your choice. When you're ready, hips facing forward. Lots of options for arm variations. You could have your arms up overhead, or you could clasp your hands behind you again. Connecting to your breath. And as you exhale, hands come down. We're stepping back to three-legged dog here, and maybe opening our hip to the side, bending our knee. When you're ready to come back to center, you could pause in down dog. You can come to child's pose, or you can move through vinyasa, your choice. As you come back to downward dog, let's walk or step forward, taking a forward fold. at the front of our mat. If you'd like to slow it down a little bit, you could ragdoll up to stand or take one breath to rise. Okay. So we're going to try chair pose again. I'm just going to turn for a moment. So you could have your feet connected, legs connected, or you could have your feet slightly parted, either option. So up to you. And let's start with our hands on our hips. Let's sit back and down again into chair. Tailbone draws down, maybe some support for your hands here or hands at heart center. And then option to turn towards the left. So you'll take your right hand outside of your left leg and turn here towards the left, up your other hand on your hip, or you could take your elbow and turn here. So either option, your choice. See how that feels. And take one more breath in. And then unravel and exhale to forward fold. If your feet are together, you can take your feet slightly apart for this. Take a breath in, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. And one more time. And then let's take a nice slow ragdoll up to stand. Shoulders back. I'm just going to turn around and face this way. Now, as we come to sit back into chair pose again, as we're going to come to twist to the other side, notice if one knee pops forward from the other, so you're actually twisting through your hips, and you want to try to keep your knees lined up. So either with your left hand on your right leg and turning here, or if you're bringing your elbow down, just check that your knee hasn't popped forward of your other knee. So keeping those knees in line and moving from here, connecting to your breath. Taking another breath in here, and then unwind and exhale, forward fold, and take a halfway lift, and then exhale to fold in. Take 2 more of those. Inhale to lift up halfway, exhale to fold, and one more time. Inhale, and forward fold, exhale. Let's take our hands down. Let's step back to plank pose. And let's lower all the way down. So from here, hands can be on the floor, shoulders back. Your arms can lift and your fingertips can reach back, palms facing towards each other. Or you could interlace your hands and straighten your arms here. Excuse me. If you'd like to lift your feet, you can also lift your legs off of the floor. And then as you're ready, we'll release, pressing back to tabletop, maybe moving through cat and cow or coming into child's pose for a couple breaths. So we're going to expand our balance in tabletop here for a moment. So the last time we came here, we extended and extended. If you'd like, you can do the same variation. So right leg back, left arm forward, or you can reach back with your left hand, grab the top of your right foot, push your foot into your hand and turn open, twisting towards the left. Your choice. just when you're ready, coming back to the center, taking a breath here to pause. And then let's explore the other side here. So left leg back, right arm forward, either here or grabbing your foot and opening up to the side. And when you're ready to release, coming back. And downward dog or child's pose. Let's spend 5 or 6 breaths here. And if you're in child's pose, making your way back to downward facing dog. So from downward dog, stepping your right foot in between your hands, back heel comes down, and let's rise up to warrior two. So finding your front knee over your ankle, hands can be on your hips for now, anchoring down through your legs, little drawing in through your center, and then let's extend our arms out. You can stay here, you can look forward, and we'll pause, connecting into our breath here. Now, let's begin to bring our front hand down, back hand down, front palm turns up. Let's reach up and back for a moment, shoulder blades onto our back. Keep rooting through your feet, and you can try to keep the bend in your front knee. If you need to straighten it, bring it back down. And then let's come back to the center, straighten out our front leg. And then let's reach forward, triangle pose, front hand comes down. You could hold your shin, you could hold a block, or you could bring the back of your hand to the inside of your leg. And you can have your hand on your hip or reach up. Now, as you're ready, rising back to warrior two, and we'll keep our hands on our hips, either front elbow resting on your front leg lightly, and or you could bring your hand to the inside of your leg and shoulders back. See if you can keep the alignment of your shoulder over your leg, so you're not leaning to the inside of your leg, you're leaning over your leg, and then maybe your back hand reaches up or stretches over. And let's rise, let's come up to stand, take a breath in here, and then let's windmill our hands down, and let's step back to three-legged dog. Let's take a breath in here, and then exhale, knee to chest, forehead to knee. You can bring your shoulders forward over your wrists, and then let's inhale to extend our leg back. And then exhale, knee to chest, forehead to knee. And one more time. Inhale, lift your leg back. And then forehead to knee, knee to chest. And then let's step our right foot forward again and place our back knee on the ground. So I'm going to use blocks. You don't have to have yoga blocks, but if you have them, you could have your hands on blocks and then lift the bottom of your front foot, and then take your left hip forward and maybe move your sit bones back a bit. And you can stay here, or you could fold in, depending on where you're at. And then as you're ready, we'll come back to tabletop. Feel free to move through a vinyasa, down dog, or child's pose here. And then wherever it is that you are, let's come back to down dog or tabletop. Let's step our left foot forward. And we're going to rise to warrior two on the other side. And settling in, connecting to your breath here. Feeling a strong connection with your legs. Let your upper body feel a little bit more like, maybe bring your awareness back to your intention. And let's place our back hand down. Front palm turns up. Let's reach up and back. And then as you're ready, straightening out your front leg, coming back to the center. Let's reach forward, triangle pose, and your back hand could be on your hip, or you can reach up here. Now let's stand all the way back up. Bring the bend into your front knee. Either forearm lightly resting on your front leg, or for those of you that have blocks, you could perhaps start to use a block. Now the block has 3 heights. You can always start with the first height. Again, shoulders back and maybe reaching forward. So if you feel like you've come too low and you're leaning more towards the front of your body, towards the floor, lift up a little higher to get that length through your spine. And then let's stand all the way back up and let's bring our hands down and let's step back to 3-legged dog here. And take a breath in here and then exhale, knee to chest, forehead to knee. And then inhale, extend your leg back. Exhale, knee to chest, forehead to knee, round in. And inhale to extend back. And one more time, knee to chest, forehead to knee. And then let's step that foot forward. Back knee comes down. And so I'm going to adjust a little bit here to lift the bottom of my foot. Right front of my right hip comes forward. And then I'm going to fold in perhaps, or just stay lifted. Couple more breaths here. Now, when you're ready, bringing your leg back, and again, child's pose, down dog, or move through a vinyasa. So just take a few, 5 or 6 breaths, wherever it is that you are. All right. So we're going to make our way to a standing forward fold. So as you're ready, either from down dog or in any way that makes sense for you, come to standing forward fold. And then let's slowly rise and come up to standing. Okay. Hi. You decided to wake up for this part, eh? Okay. So, hi. Hello. You say hi to everybody. All right. Come on. So we're going to come into a standing balance. We're going to come into figure 4 standing. So we'll start by standing on our right foot first. I'm going to actually turn to the side for a second. So it's going to look like chair pose, except for one foot will be up on the other leg, and then you're sitting down. So it has that same quality as chair pose. So we want to avoid this. I'm going to sit back and down. Okay. So now that I've explained that, let's stand on our right foot. Lift our left knee, a little bend into your right knee. Let's place our left foot, and then let's sit down and lean forward. Of course, my cat comes when we're doing the balancing pose. You're a distraction, Bo. So we're going to sit down. You can lower your upper body over top. You can hold your shin. You could bring your hands to your heart, or you can start to fold forward a bit, as long as you're sitting back and down a bit as well. Sometimes, I'm just going to show this quick. Sometimes it's handy if you have blocks and you're struggling with the balance, you could have your fingertips or hands on the blocks and still be sitting and getting the hip opener without worrying about the balance. So as you're ready, we're going to stand up, shake it out a little bit. Oh boy. And we're going to come to the other side. So this time standing on your left foot, I'm going to stand facing the side this time. And let's lift our right knee up, place your foot, and then sit back and down. And you can lower your upper body. Again, you can use blocks if you like. And as you're folding forward, try not to lift your hips higher, but trying to sit down here. And not sitting your sit bones past your knees. So we're not coming into a squat either. We're just settling here. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to stand back up. Maybe shake it out a little bit. Take a clearing breath. And then let's take a breath in, reach our arms up, and exhale, forward fold. Take an inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. And then let's rise to stand, reaching up, and hands to heart center. So we'll come into squat pose next. Squat pose can be good, it can be challenging, it can be whatever, for everyone's different. Try to align your knees with your feet or feet with your knees so you can come into a half squat. Sometimes, if your hips are really tight, you can use a couple stacked blocks to come into a partial squat. Or sometimes I take one block on its side and come down into a partial squat. But you can also come into a full squat here. So I'm typically not going to be teaching arm balances in these classes just because being online, it's really hard to support people in arm balances. But for those of you that are familiar with crow pose or bakasana, this would be the opportunity for you to try it. My one major word of advice would be to keep looking forward. Don't look to the floor. Nobody wants to fall flat on their nose and face. Hey, hi. Oh. All right. So we're going to come out of this in any way that makes sense. You could sit back, or you can come to tabletop, and you could maybe come into child's pose perhaps, or downward facing dog or cat. I'm being very fluffy right now. That's unusual. Oh, my cat just did dog pose. Ah, what a distraction you are, cat. All right. Okay. All right, up we go. So we're going to take one more strength-based pose, and in this, I'm going to give a couple options. So we'll start with a variation on side plank that I haven't taught in a little while. And for those of you that came out in the summertime for stand-up paddle, I definitely wouldn't teach this variation on the board, but I'll show you what it looks like. So I'm going to start with my left foot forward here, lift my right knee, and I'm going to turn to the outside of my back foot, and I'm going to turn my front foot to face that same way, and then I'm going to lift up. So it should feel kind of like pigeon pose or figure 4 on your outer hip, and then we're reaching up here. And your hips, if they're settling towards the ground, try to lift them up and away, and then open up here. So it's a bit of a twist. And then we'll come back down. Maybe step back to down dog or tabletop. Take a moment to pause. So maybe show you the second side facing you, so you get a sort of a side, so you get a side angle of me. So I'm going to turn this way for the second side. So this time I'm stepping my other foot forward, turn to the back foot, my front foot turns out. You can't see me there. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Front foot turns out, hips are lifted, and then lifting so my right foot's forward on this one. It looks like my left for you guys, but my right foot's forward. And when you're ready, we'll come back down and just take a moment to pause. Okay. So that was one side plank variation. I quite like it to get into a little bit of a hip opener here first. Now we will try side plank. You can try on your hands. Some people prefer it on their forearm. That's your choice. So we'll start in plank pose. Roll to the outside of your right foot and then stack your left foot on top and lift your hips again, just like we did in that last variation, and then maybe reach up. And then when you're ready, we'll come down. We'll roll to the outside of our left foot, stack our right foot, and lift up. Or you can come to the first variation we did with your other foot in front. And when you're ready, coming back down, finding child's pose or down dog for a couple breaths, or perhaps sitting back on your heels and taking a moment. Right. Option 1, pigeon pose. We are working on a bit of hips today. So pigeon pose on the right side, right knee comes a bit wider, shin slightly across your mat. Back knee moves further back. If this creates a tension in your knee joint, you'll want to probably take figure 4, either sitting or lying down here. Okay, so option, figure 4, or pigeon pose. And for pigeon pose, if anyone really wants a little bit more of a strength-based variation today, you could, instead of folding in, you could hug in and lift upright. So either hands on your hips or hands on your shin. And for anyone wanting a little extra, taking a thigh stretch here. Okay. But of course, feel free to settle in as well. And as we pause here, you could come back to your intention, come back to your breath, bring yourself back into the present moment if your mind is wandering. And then from either pigeon or figure four, let's come out of that side. And when you're ready, coming to the other side. So you may want to move a bit in between, but you may want to just shift right to the other side. If you took pigeon and you're taking the strength-based variation, you could lift your upper body a little bit here, hugging in, so you feel there's like a lift of your hips and pelvis, or you can just hang out, fold in. And as you're ready, coming out of this side, if you're on your back, feel free to stay there, as we will be moving to our back next. If you're in pigeon and you'd like maybe another vinyasa or a little bit of time in downward facing dog, please take a few breaths. And just whenever you're ready, making your way onto your back if you're not there already. And as you come to recline back, you could have your feet on the ground, move your knees a few times side to side, or bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit here side to side. And then when you're ready, placing both feet back down on the ground. Feet are about hip distance apart, and then draw your shoulder blades underneath you slightly. Excuse me. And pressing down through your elbows, maybe your palms on the ground, but pressing down through your upper arms and your feet. Let's lift our hips up, walk your shoulder blades underneath you a bit more, and you could stay here. Some of you may want to interlace your hands underneath you, and then lifting your chin slightly so that your airway's open and connecting to your breath here. And then as you're ready, releasing your hands, bringing your hips back down to the ground and bringing your knees back towards your chest. You could give yourself a couple clearing breaths here. Now, option to take happy baby pose. So knees come wide, reach behind your knees, grab your ankles, grab the bottoms of your feet. And let's settle our shoulder blades and our lower back down towards the floor before lifting your feet. So if your lower back's lifting, maybe keep your knees slightly bent here. If it's comfortable to close your eyes, close your eyes. Deepen your breath. As you're ready, we'll release from happy baby. And let's extend our legs forward, maybe a big body stretch here, or just rocking your feet from side to side a few times. Now, excuse me, we're going to come into a twist. Option to bring both knees up and over towards the right side. I always shift my hips a little bit to the opposite side first. Or you could take your left leg across your right leg and then bring your knees over to the right. So if you want to have a bit of a deeper twist today, wrapping your legs will do that. If it feels like it's too much, unravel your legs and just stack one on top of the other here. So a couple of different options for you. And you could extend your arms out. You can have your arms overhead or even have your arms beside you. Couple more breaths here. And as you're ready, coming back to the center. And let's take that twist to the other side. Couple more breaths here. And as you're ready, coming back to the center. One more movement in the center, knees to chest, maybe one more happy baby. You could come into bound angle. Couple deep breaths. And as you're ready, we'll make our way into Shavasana. So that could be lying on your back, extending your arms and your legs. It could be lying down on your side. For anyone that's not comfortable lying down, you could also find a tall seat. I will be coming to my seat, but please feel free to lie down, extending your arms and your legs, and giving yourself this time to surrender and to let go and to just be. So giving yourself a couple clearing breaths here, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Giving yourself permission to let go a little further. And allow this practice to integrate and to absorb. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your body with a little bit of movement, maybe your fingers and toes, your ankles and your wrists. You could bring your knees into your chest, rock a little bit, or give yourself a full body stretch here. And when you're ready, rolling over to your side, take a moment to pause before making your way up to your seat. As you make your way to your seat, again, you could bring your hands over your heart or place your palms together at heart center. Take a couple deep breaths of gratitude into your heart space. Thanking yourself for creating time to be here for this practice today. And I'd like to thank everyone who's practiced with me today as well. Namaste. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I'm just going to end the recording for